Let me save here before the game does anything stupid again. You can't be serious! Order in the court! It seems Miss Faye's assault has finally reached its conclusion. Not now, Mia. This is no time to retreat. Unfortunately for you, this is just the start of Miss Faye's assault. Nani? I believe your reasoning wins something like this, Mr. Edgeworth. After being shot in the arm, it is plausible that Mr. Falls panicked. Therefore, he could have unwittingly pushed her off the side of the bridge. However, once again, I'm forced to say that's impossible! Ridiculous! What's so impossible about it? Because your flawed logic contradicts the court record! I'm assuming it's this one. Your Honor! All of the answers are right here in this photo! Take a look at the wires supporting both sides of the bridge. They extend up to about 5 feet off the ground. It would be impossible to push someone off from there. No! But let's remember the size and strength of the defendant. Wires like this wouldn't be a problem for him. He could have easily picked up a 14-year-old girl and thrown her over. Yeah, he was shot. So young and already so forgetful, Mr. Edgeworth. Mr. Falls had been shot in the right arm. Ah! And more importantly, Valerie Hawthorne had her gun trained on him at point-blank range. So, Mr. Falls throwing the witness off the bridge? That is clearly impossible. Ah! Order! What is the meaning of this? Dahlia Hawthorne, you jumped into the Eagle River intentionally. What? What is this? Indeed, what do you mean by such a ridiculous remark? Yes, it's ridiculous. My sister was there to help me. She had a gun and handcuffs, she could have saved me. Jumping into a raging river like that would have been suicide! Perhaps, but still that's exactly what you did. You were probably confident that you could handle the swift current. But even more so, the witness had a much more compelling reason for jumping into the river. Oh? Then what was it? What was so important that she wanted to jump into the river? The witness is still alive! This fact alone explains everything. This is why she risked her life by jumping into the rapids of the Eagle River! 5 years ago, something else disappeared along with Dahlia that day. The item that Valerie brought up the mountain with her, the $2 million diamond! Ah! No, it can't be. Yes, Dahlia had it planned all from the beginning. The $2 million, she was going to keep it all for herself! She forced Mr. Falls to help her fake the kidnapping. At the last minute, she betrayed him and threw herself into the river, with the ransom tucked away safely in her backpack. I mean, that's so stupid. Yeah, no, that is ridiculous. She didn't have to do it. She could have just, like, ducked, had her sister shoot the guy, and then she could have just left with her sister with the money. Your Honor, 5 years ago the witness was only 14 years old. Do you really think a 14-year-old is capable of such a demonic plan? Sure. I don't know about you guys, but some people... Let's just say some people are bad people. Not many. Very, very few people are this bad, but they do exist. This woman is a demon! Oh, I mean, that's slander, Mia. You can't slander people in a courtroom like that. And there was one more person who helped make a demon out of her. Her sister, Valerie Hawthorne. You mean the victim was involved in the kidnapping plot as well? But she was a detective then. You're saying she participated in her sister's kidnapping? Precisely! I'm sure that it weighed heavily on her conscience for the past 5 years. This is the sole reason behind the victim's murder. What do you mean by that? On the day of the murder, after receiving the phone call from Mr. Falls, Valerie called her sister Dahlia. And then she told her what she was planning to do. She was going to tell the whole truth, as she wrote in her note. That is what sealed Valerie's Hawthorne's fate. That is when you hatched your demonic plan to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. A plan that would ensure neither of your accomplices to the kidnapping would talk. And that is why you killed your sister, Valerie Hawthorne. Who is that laughing at a time like this? Forgive me, it's just hilarious. Witness! Is that you? You amuse me, woman, Miss Mia Fey. You can certainly weave an exciting tale. Naturally, you have the evidence to back it up, don't you? Evidence? Evidence that I planned the kidnapping, of course. At that 14, I plotted it with Mr. Falls and my sister. Well, and one more thing. What happened to the $2 million diamond? If you can't provide evidence to at least show that... well, Miss Fey... I don't know. Ah, it's so ridiculous. Why would anyone think this is a good story? Of course it wouldn't work. What a joke! You, Miss Fey! Are you stupid or something? This whole story is stupid or something. How can I prove a fake kidnapping that happened 5 years ago? I don't even have decisive proof of Valerie Hawthorne's murder. Well, it seems that we've come to the end. To be honest, the witness's behavior does raise a certain suspicion. However, I am forced to reject the assertions made by the defense. Of course you are. Is this it? Is it really over? That girl has made a fool of me and there's nothing I can do about it. You can call another witness? Ah! Without evidence, the trial is over. Who decided that? Mr. Armando! Come on now. Haven't you figured out that you can make your own rules? No, you can't, Armando. What are you talking about? For example, even when there's no evidence, there's still testimony. Well, there is that. I said that too. Can we call another witness? Testimony! On the day in question, Dahlia Hawthorne murdered her sister, Valerie Hawthorne. She hid her body in the trunk of Mr. Fall's stolen car and then went to meet with him. Did you just read that? She murdered her sister on the mountain at the bridge. She murdered her sister, stuffed her body into Mr. Fall's stolen car, and then went to meet Mr. Falls. And Mr. Falls didn't see any of this. He was there in the car, and like behind him in the trunk was a woman being stuffed in, and he like parked the car, got out, and in that time the body was stuffed in the trunk. Oh my god, who wrote this story? I mean, look, how long does it take you to park a car, really? You just park and then you like pull the brake and you walk out. And in that time, somebody like, it didn't have the key, so they like had to break the trunk open to put the body in. Disguised as her sister, Valerie Hawthorne. That's what you think, right? That's what you think. That's what you think, right? This is so bad. Yes, that's right. In that case, there's only one answer, right? There's only one person left who can testify about Valerie Hawthorne's murder. Since there's no proof, there's only one thing left to do. Who is the one person who can testify to that demon woman's crime? Terry Force. Your Honor, the defense wishes to call a new witness. A new witness. Yes, we would like to hear the testimony of Terry Force. The defendant. There is only one person that can shed any further light on the situation. Only one person that knows what Dahlia's role in the kidnapping was. Only one person that can say whether the person in the photo is Valerie Hawthorne, or whether it was in fact her younger sister Dahlia disguised as her. There's only one person who can solve this riddle once and for all. And that person is Terry Force! Well, Mr. Edgeworth, what is your take on this? Why not? The prosecution has no objection. Alright, Edgeworth. Very well. Bailiff! Bring the defendant to the witness stand! This is my last chance, Mr. Force. My last chance to establish Dahlia's guilt. You are all I have left! Defendant, you've heard everything that's been said up to this point, yes? I don't believe it, no way! Dahlia died 5 years ago, Valerie betrayed me. He still thinks Dahlia died. Wow. Mr. Force, I don't know what she said to you 5 years ago, but one thing is clear. Dahlia is very much alive, and you were used for $2 million. That's not true. Mr. Force, there's only one question I want the answer to. 2 days ago on Dusky Bridge, who did you meet? Was it Valerie Hawthorne or was it Dahlia Hawthorne? Dahlia, did you betray me? 5 years ago she promised never ever betray each other. Okay. Terry! Dahlia! It's true! You're alive! You don't trust me anymore. That makes me sad. Tell the truth, the real truth. I believed in you. I shouldn't need to say it, you should already know. But there is one thing that I will say. My life is in your hands right now, Terry. Oh, get wrecked. Dahlia! I will allow Mr. Force to testify once and once only. Well then, Mr. Force, yours will be the final testimony in this trial. Witness! Ah! I'm sorry, I apologize. Ah! Water, please! Can't talk, need water. Ha! Oh well, I guess it will have to be my coffee instead. At least it'll match the way he's probably feeling right now. Darker and bitterer than hell itself. Ah! By the way, why do you have those things on your face? Did you like try to kiss a barbed wire fence? Who Terry Falls saw? That day, 4 PM, I stopped the car. I was in front of Bridge. She wasn't there, so I waited on Bridge. Oh, you waited on the bridge? While behind your body was being stuffed in your car? Oh, no, you washed the car. I watched my car from Bridge, I never put no body in that car. Finally, one woman came, she stood in front of me. We talked, then she left. That was Valerie, not my Dahlia. Oh, come on, dude. Mr. Falls, you're covering for her. Do you think she would do the same for you? That's enough, Miss Fey. His last statement was a fitting way to end the final testimony of the trial. Well then, Miss Fey, please proceed with your cross-examination. Is this how you wanted to end, Mr. Force? Another guilty verdict to go along with your death sentence. There's only one person who can stop it. You, I think. What's these people? I stopped the car. I was in front of bridge. According to the note, the meeting was supposed to take place at 4:30. You suddenly arrived early, didn't you? It was raining, already dark too. You waited on the bridge for 30 minutes. Mr. Force? Eagle Mountain, that spot. Strong, strong memories. Why did he just clam up? Could it be? He's hiding something here. She wasn't there, so I waited on bridge. You were quite early, so you waited on the bridge, correct? Yeah, I like waiting. I'm used to it. I'm sure he is, Zero Boy waited 5 years to ask a single question. To find out why a woman betrayed him. To him 30 minutes must have been like the blink of an eye. I watched my car from bridge, never put no body in the car. You were watching the car? That bridge, other side is broken, nobody can come from there. So I was watching car. Sigh, what else were you expecting him to do? I suppose that's the obvious thing to do, but... something's bothering me, I'm getting that feeling. A contradiction! I wonder what's on the other side of the broken bridge anyway. No one lives there. There's a small shrine up on the mountain, but that's it. Anyway, nobody came. No car, nothing. Finally, one woman came. She stood in front of me. Mr. Falls, think carefully now. Are you certain that it was Valerie Hawthorne? I never lie. It's the truth. It was Valerie. I remembered her face. Wait a minute. If you had remembered her face, then why did you make her wear a scarf as identification? Sorry. I told a little lie. But the woman I met, she was different from the woman standing here now. She was different. It was Valerie. We talked, then she left. What did you talk to her about anyway? Mr. Force! Valerie told the truth about the kidnapping 5 years ago. She said someone needed to take the blame for it. That was all I could think to do. She said that. That's why she lied. She got me the death penalty. And were you satisfied with that answer, witness? Dahlia died. It was my fault. But I don't really remember. Maybe I did. Maybe I did push her in. It don't matter no more. Either way, my Dahlia, my sweet teen angel, dead. But you just saw that she isn't dead! After Valerie talked to me on bridge, nothing left to live for. Wow, what an idiot. That was Valerie, not my Dahlia. How can you be so sure? It was raining at the time, and sunset that day was at 5 o'clock. It would have already been pretty dark on that mountain at 4:30. Please, Mr. Falls, this is your last chance. You've already taken the fall once for something you didn't do. That woman. It wasn't Dahlia. Stop right there. What more needs to be said? Even if it means the death penalty, even if it means taking the blame for murder. You'll still do whatever is necessary to protect her, won't you, Mr. Falls? I know it's obvious, but he's clearly lying. He's been cursed by Dahlia Hawthorne. He'll probably go to his grave still believing in her. Mr. Falls, even if you can show he's lying, the poor guy will still be cursed. You still have to point out the contradiction anyway. That's the curse of being a defense lawyer, I guess. Alright, so he was watching the car, but he didn't see anyone stuff the corpse in, which doesn't really make any sense. Alright, never mind, it's not that. I wanted to ask, how is there a body in the trunk if you looked at it the whole time? He was on the bridge looking at the car. No. If he waited on the bridge and then she came to the bridge, they would have been on different positions. Right? Because that's the cliff, the car is on this side. He was already on the bridge. She came to the bridge to meet him. They should have been on opposite sides. So when you got to the bridge, no one had arrived, huh? So you waited on the bridge. You're sure of that? Yeah, I'm sure. You're sure, huh? Well then I'm sure too, Mr. Falls. I'm sure that you're lying! Ha! What? Oh, I would love to hear your rationale on this, Miss Faye. You want to know who arrived at the bridge first? Just look at this photo, it's perfectly clear. Obviously the person that came first would be the one at the end of the bridge, right? But that's the victim at the end of the bridge. Precisely my point. In other words, Mr. Falls, you must have arrived at the bridge after she did. Blah. Does anybody ever actually make those sounds? Mr. Falls, please don't get so worked up. We just want the truth. I got there around 4 o'clock, it's true. I had somewhere to go, a special place. Did you go to this special place before you went to the bridge? Yeah. It's an old temple about 15 minutes from the bridge. 5 years ago, me and Dahlia, we promised each other. We swore we wouldn't betray each other. She brought a memento to represent our love. A memento? 5 years ago I hid it under the base of tree there. It's a special memory for me. This is it. This is what I went to get. Ah, Dahlia Hawthorne. We're gonna have to deal with her in the final case, I'm pretty sure. This little bottle on a necklace is your memento? It's quite charming, but it looks empty. Your Honor, you heard what my client said. He arrived at the scene at 4 o'clock, but he then left his car unattended and walked away. Okay, now it makes sense. The body was stuffed in then. He was gone for approximately 30 minutes. With that much time, Dahlia Hawthorne could have easily hidden the body in the trunk of his car. No! Indeed, there certainly was enough time for it. So the story was completely implausible. Up until this point, the story didn't make any sense. But they just, all of them just went along with it. Went along with this this huge plot hole. Until now, the plot hole's covered, and they all pretend, alright, this makes sense now. When nobody except me said anything about the giant plot hole. They all just went along with it. Oh, who wrote this story? I've still got a chance! Awful. Mr. Force, there's no mistaking it. Huh? Mr. Force? Did he just bite his tongue off? That's enough. Please. Witness! I promised her 5 years ago, if it ever happens that we can't trust each other no more, then we're supposed to drink bottle. Oh. He just killed himself. No! Stop the trial, Your Honor, we need a recess! I was stupid. I couldn't keep promise. So I did it. I drank this. No, we're so close, just a little more. I'm going to prove your innocence. No, don't want that. Don't trust self. Maybe kill again. Kill sweet Dahlia again. Mr. Force! Mr. Armando. Thanks for the coffee. Oh, he's dead. Mr. Force! What an idiot. And so my first trial ended, suddenly and tragically. It ended with no winners, only losers. Did Dahlia Hawthorne go to prison? Did you lock her up? I ended up with a wound that cut so deep into my soul I thought it'd never heal. I'm sure it was the same for the young prosecutor as well. But one person, the true criminal, Dahlia Hawthorne, she left the courtroom with a secret smile on her demonically sweet face. You let her go? She got away? She got away after all that? You know what? I have just lost all faith in the justice system. You know, here's the thing. For some people, they don't commit crimes because they think if they do, they'll get caught and get thrown in prison. I mean, some people are just good people and they just don't commit crimes because they don't want to hurt other people. But some people are bad people and they don't care about hurting other people, but they wouldn't commit crimes because they don't want to get caught. Those people, if they lose faith in the justice system, they will start committing crimes. Now, I'm not saying anything about myself, but I am losing faith in the justice system. Just kidding. This is fiction. It's not real. Don't worry, I'm not gonna start murdering people because of fiction. I'm just saying, if something like this happened in the real world, I would lose faith in the justice system. Like, the justice system, it's not only that you put criminals behind bars. That's not the only point. The point is you convince other people, you convince non-criminals that justice will be served. That's the crucial part of it. I mean, it matters a little bit. It doesn't really matter what you do to individual criminals. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. What matters more is you persuade other people that crime doesn't pay. That's the important part, the really important part. If you don't do that, then the crime will be rampant, right? Anyway, let's keep going. And remember, this is fiction. The fact that this is a travesty should not alter your view of the criminal justice system in your country. Alright, let's keep going. Unforgivable, that witch. Mr. Armando! We were so close to the truth. It was right there in front of us. You were just a little too soft, kitten. It's my fault? It's all my fault that Mr. Falk killed himself. No, it's not, Mia. Mia, it's not your fault. Stop doing that. Don't cry. You're going to make my coffee all salty. I knew it! I knew I wasn't cut out for this. Don't be like that, Mia. This is such a bad stereotype. This portrayal of Mia is awful, by the way. And like this sexist undertone underneath all this. Everybody belittles Mia because Japan is intrinsically, unbearably, irreparably sexist, right? you've noticed, right? The way like they treat Mia and how that's different from how they treat Phoenix. Like the sexism, like it's just the whole culture, the whole game is just completely soaked in that sexism. And I'm not sure if the writer even realizes. I'm not sure like people notice. I notice. Shut up, Armando. Don't you get it? You can't cry yet. The only time a lawyer can cry is when it's all over. Mr. Armando. No matter how tough the case, no matter how bitter the memories, they always fade over time. Then you file them away and eventually forget them. Except you don't. Because Armando has come back as Godot. 1 year later in this very same courthouse. I myself got wrapped up in that case. Yeah, and then it was her again. But it's okay though, only after that did Dahlia Hawthorne get put on trial for her crimes. Did we convict Dahlia that time? The verdict that was ultimately handed down to her was... guilty, of course. Naturally, when the verdict was read, she had a perfect angelic smile on her face. It was finally all over. At least, that's what I thought at the time. Unfortunately, I couldn't have been more wrong. It's been 5 years, but now something has happened that made me remember all this. Alright, that's awful. That was awful. That was so bad. That was enormous plot holes. Enormous plot holes dripping with sexism. Alright, see you for the last episode in the next video.